Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful framework for change. It's like a blueprint for a positive revolution, and it's hidden inside two stories that seem totally different, but are, well, you'll see, surprisingly connected. Okay, so let's just dive right in, and we'll start with a little bit of a puzzle. I mean, on the surface, you'd think absolutely nothing, right? They seem worlds apart. But believe it or not, both of them hold the key to a revolutionary way of thinking about creating real, lasting change in our communities, in our companies, and yeah, even in ourselves. So our first story takes us all the way to Harare, Zimbabwe. A psychiatrist there, a Dr. Dixon Chibanda, was facing a crisis that was just completely overwhelming. Get this, 12. That's the total number of psychiatrists, including him, for a population of 14 million people in his country. The system wasn't just stretched, it was broken. And the consequences were absolutely tragic. And this is where it gets heartbreaking. The system failed a young woman named Erica. She died by suicide, and Dr. Chibanda was just haunted by what her mother told him. It wasn't a lack of treatment that failed Erica. It was a $15 bus fare. The very structure of how they delivered care was the biggest barrier. That tragedy, it sparked this huge moment of soul-searching and a totally radical new idea. He knew the solution couldn't come from the hospital. It had to come from the community itself. Now, this is so important. The solution had to be rooted in the local culture, so they dropped all the intimidating clinical jargon. Instead of depression, they used the Shona term kufunkisisa, which beautifully translates to thinking too much. Right away, this made the problem understandable and approachable for everyone. And here's the brilliant part. Dr. Chibanda tapped into one of the most reliable, trusted, and frankly, abundant resources in any community: grandmothers. He trained them in proven talk therapy and empowered them to provide care on a simple park bench. The genius wasn't in trying to find more doctors. It was in shifting the task to the people who were already there, woven into the fabric of the community. And the results? They were just astonishing. As you can see from this chart from a formal clinical trial, the grandmothers were actually more effective at treating depression than the doctors were. Wow. You see, they didn't have to invent something new. They just had to liberate the positive potential that was there all along. Okay, hold that thought. Let's shift gears and jump continents for our second story. We're going from public health in Zimbabwe to corporate culture at a massive American telecom company. So, back in the mid-90s, GTE was in trouble. The whole company was just filled with cynicism, and the people on the front lines, the 64,000 employees dealing with customers every single day, felt totally disconnected and disengaged. The company president, a guy named Tom White, had this really profound insight. He realized that if you want to change the culture, you have to change the conversations people are having. You have to change the company's story about itself, shifting its self-talk from negative to positive. So instead of another boring top-down mandate, they did something totally radical. They launched a voluntary grassroots program. They invited employees to become zealots, basically passionate champions for customer satisfaction and positive change. The approach was just beautifully simple. They introduced a new way of thinking that was all about focusing on strengths. And then, and this is the absolute key, they got out of the way. They trusted their employees to figure out how they wanted to apply the ideas. This completely sidestepped that classic empowerment trap, where managers say, "You're empowered," but then tell you exactly what to do. Here, the power was genuinely handed over. Okay, so a grandmother in Zimbabwe, a telephone employee in the US. What on earth is the hidden engine connecting their incredible success? What did they both tap into? Well, it turns out both of these incredible transformations were powered by the same thing, a methodology called appreciative inquiry, or AI. It's really a profound shift in perspective. Instead of digging around for problems, it deliberately searches for what's working, for what gives life to a person, a team, or a whole community. This slide really nails the difference. Think about it. Our typical approach to change is to find the problem, analyze what went wrong, and then try to fix it. And that often leads to defensiveness and the blame game, right? Appreciative inquiry completely flips the script. It asks, hey, what's working really well around here, and how can we get more of that? It moves us from criticism to co-creation. It's a game changer. And the best part is, this isn't just some abstract theory for huge organizations. Appreciative inquiry gives us a practical, honest-to-goodness blueprint that we can use to create change in our own lives, to really become the authors and leaders of our own stories. The method is built around this really powerful four-step cycle. It goes discovery, dream, design, and destiny. It's a way to systematically build on your strengths to create the future you actually want to live in. And this is where it gets really practical and personal. Let's walk through how you can apply this to your own life. First up is discovery. This is where you find your legacy moments. You mine your past not for failures, but for the gold, for those peak experiences when you felt most alive, most yourself. Next, you dream. This is where you create your avatar, a really vivid vision of your ideal self without all the old limitations. Then comes design. Here you create what we could call your filmmaker's bill of rights. These are the concrete rules, the principles, the habits that are going to guide your story forward. And finally, destiny. This is about creating a sanctuary garden, a supportive community of people who help you sustain this new narrative and keep it growing. So, when you boil it all down, the lesson is exactly the same. Whether it's a grandmother on a park bench or a zealot on the phone lines, deep, meaningful transformation comes from the same place. It's not about fixing what's broken. It's about liberating the positive potential that's already there, and it always, always starts with people. Which leaves us with a final thought to take away with you. Instead of looking for the biggest problem you need to solve, what if you looked for your greatest strength to amplify? What if you just asked yourself this one simple, powerful question? The answer might just be the start of a positive revolution of your own.